Welcome everyone to the Maternity and Early Childhood Foundation's Make Every Moment Count Fall Luncheon. I don't know if you had been to last year's luncheon, but last year we had our luncheon on the day Hurricane Sandy hit. And so we were ready to start the luncheon, and I kept saying, should we cancel? What's going on? First, they closed the thruway, they closed the mass transit. Chancellor Tish, our honoree, couldn't come. Matilda Cuomo couldn't come. Benita Zahn said, Joy, I can't come. And so about 40 of our guests didn't come. So this year we're really worried about what the weather's going to be like. So we asked our honoree, Bishop Hubbard, if he would put in a good word for us. And, it worked. It worked. We have a beautiful day. Thank you, Bishop Hubbard. So we'd like to thank our wonderful sponsors, our honorary committee members, guests, and special guests of honor for your compassion and support for the work of the foundation. I would now like to welcome Reverend James Kane, pastor of St. Patrick's Parish Community in Ravenna and director of Interfaith, Ecumenical, and Interreligious Affairs for the Roman Catholic Diocese, to come to the podium and give the opening blessing.
And his title is longer than his prayer. Some of us clergy, when asked to pray for weather, respond, we're in sales, not management. Let us pray. Blessed are you, God of all creation, who through your prophet Isaiah assured us, as a mother comforts her child, so I shall comfort you. Give your comfort to the pregnant and parenting women and their babies, supported by the Maternity and Early Childhood Foundation these 30 years. Be with the foundation's director, staff, and board, so they may continue to fund agencies that promote prenatal care, improve birth outcomes, and support positive parenting for those who are most in need. Bestow your blessings upon former First Lady Matilda R. Cuomo, her husband, former Governor Mario, her son, Governor Andrew Cuomo. Bless Bishop Howard J. Hubbard, 2013 champion for New York's Children and Families awardee, for his 50 years of priestly commitment to leadership, advocacy, and devotion for vulnerable children and families. Bless our luncheon guests, our hosts at Century House, the food we are about to share, those who have grown, prepared, and will serve it. We give you thanks for all of your good gifts to us. Amen.
Thank you, Father Kane. We know that you all have busy schedules, so we're going to keep the agenda moving. And I think that you have already put in your luncheon order, but if you haven't, they're coming around to take that. So please enjoy your lunch while we begin the program. And you should know that in addition to your donation to the Maternity and Early Childhood Foundation, you're making each moment count by adding to the number of meals served to the homeless by the Century House under the Buy One, Share One initiative. And today they've served over 400,000 meals, so thank you to the Century House. The Maternity and Early Childhood Foundation was started 30 years ago by some forward-thinking individuals who understood the importance of supporting young, expectant, and new parents at a very special time, the birth of a child. The Maternity and Early Childhood Foundation is dedicated to the health and well-being of New York's most vulnerable young parents and their babies. Your support helps us nurture healthy moms, healthy babies, and positive parenting, making a lifetime of difference for those families. Our goals are healthy babies, children who are ready to learn, and parents who nurture their children and reach their personal goals for success. In our 30 years of operation, we have funded over 140 agencies and made a positive difference in the lives of thousands of young parents and their babies living in high-need communities all across New York State. Last year, our program served 2,600 pregnant and parenting women and their family members. This year, we're funding 18 programs in high-need communities all across New York State, from Olean to Buffalo to New York City to Long Island. And part of my job is to visit all the programs, and I can tell you that they are doing a fantastic job. The staff are so talented and committed, and they'll do whatever it takes to help the young moms and their babies. They help the families access prenatal care, health insurance, and safe housing. They educate expectant moms and dads on nutrition, infant safety, and positive parenting. They empower and encourage young parents to stay on track, get an education, and achieve their dreams. And I can tell you they'll do just about anything. They travel long distances in very rural areas to meet with parents. They'll teach a mom how to swaddle a crying baby. They help the mom do math problems so that she can pass her GED. They just do everything. So some of our programs that are here today are the staff, and I just wonder if you could stand up so we could give you a round of applause. So, having a baby is a special time, but it can also be a stressful time if you're a teen parent, or if you don't have stable housing, or you don't have employment. And sometimes these parents just need encouragement. They need hope for a better future. And so today you're going to meet some of the amazing moms and dads and their beautiful children who have benefited from the work of our program. One's talking already. So the economy has had its impact on our funding, as it has with all nonprofit agencies. We're so grateful to Governor Cuomo and the New York State Legislature and our wonderful private donors for your continued support. Your support has been critical to our ability to meet the needs of so many struggling families. I would especially like to recognize and thank Fidelis Community Grant Funds for their generous grant, which will help us support services to many families that we wouldn't be able to serve. And Jim Bernowski and Tom Brown are here from Fidelis. I just wonder if you could stand up and give them. I also wanted to especially thank New York State United Teachers for printing the program you have today, the posters, and designing and printing the beautiful brochure that's on your table. Thanks to Deborah Bailey, our photographer, and Roger Bailey, our videographer, and Price Chopper for the flowers. You should know that the funding we receive from the state and your donations goes to services for families. We have a really small office, myself, my wonderful office manager, Colleen, and student interns. And this year we have Jessica Jowry, who's here somewhere. Jessica? Where's Jessica? Stand up. We're especially proud and excited to be able to present our award and to recognize Bishop Hubbard. His lifetime compassion, dedication, advocacy, and commitment to serving vulnerable families inspires us in our work with families and children. We're so thrilled to have him with us today. We hope you enjoy the lunch, and please let us know if you have any suggestions on how we can continue to grow. So now I'd like to introduce our very special Mistress of Ceremonies, who's a strong supporter of the work that we do. She was our Mistress of Ceremonies our first year and generously agreed to help us this year. She's a highly respected news anchor and health reporter for WNYT Channel 13. She's won many awards and has been named #1 news reporter in the Capital District. She co-produces and hosts the show HealthLink on Tuesday nights on WMHT. In her role as health reporter, she has focused health reports on teen pregnancy and healthy pregnancies. So let's give a special welcome to Benita Zahn.
Thank you, Joy. In fact, one of the awards I won was for a program called Baby Your Baby, which was profiling the work done by the organization many moons ago. But it was this hair color, so we're good. It's. It's delightful to listen, you know? People ask me, how long have I been in town? Okay, this is the answer. 2 husbands, 3 hair colors. I'm keeping this hair color and this husband. Delighted to be here with you. Yes, it was a little crazy last year. I think the only storm that we're seeing today is the one that is whipped up by all of your support of the great work done by the organization. I'd like to give a special welcome to some elected officials who've joined us today. Senator Breslin is with us. Assemblywoman Pat Fahey, I saw you. There you are. Assemblyman John McDonald. And I know he's listed. I don't know if I haven't seen him yet. County Executive Dan McCoy. If not, he's here in spirit. He's here in spirit. Mayor Jerry Jennings. And a very special thank you to all of our wonderful sponsors and the honorary committee members. You'll see their names in your program, so let's give them, please, a round of applause as well. And as the food starts coming, eat, please. I also want to recognize the Foundation's very dedicated board of directors, many of whom were involved in planning this event. If you'd all just please stand for a moment. If you haven't already, please take a look at the auction items at the back of the room. They're wonderful stuff. I'm really thinking about the Jets stuff. Any other Gangrene fans here today? Yeah, it was a good win. Yeah, sorry. Okay, the Giants are okay, but I'm sorry. Also, don't miss your opportunity to purchase one of the 50/50 or a couple, maybe a dozen of the 50/50 tickets. The holidays are quickly approaching, and there are many fabulous items back there that make wonderful presents. And ladies, there are some good sports items, as I just mentioned. It says in my script for the men in your lives, the heck with them. Keep it for yourself if you're so inclined, The husband knows I had to get a new green T-shirt this year, but he purchased it for me, much as it troubled him to do that. And guys, same goes for you. You can look at the sports items or the other lovely things there for the women in your lives. You've got until 1 o'clock to sign up for the silent auction items and the 50/50 tickets. And as I like to say, if you snooze, you lose. Don't walk out of here without getting the item that you hoped you had. And of course, the money goes for a very good cause. As Joy pointed out, and as I've mentioned, I've done stories on the organization, and I did have the pleasure of hosting the Foundation's first luncheon back in 2011. So I'm well versed on the important services that are provided by the group. If you're new if this is your first lunch, anybody a first timer here? Anybody not? No? Okay, so we will fill you in. There are phenomenal services that are provided. They promote prenatal care for children. They improve birth outcomes. And if you caught a recent story, New York still has a ways to go when it comes to healthy babies being born. And that's part of the work here. They're supporting local young parents, but also those across New York State in many areas where there are few other services. Now, I know you saw the board out there. Many of you came. You were expecting Matilda Cuomo, our former First Lady, to be joining us today. She was honored this morning at Albany Medical Center. They announced the Matilda Rafa Cuomo Family Care Corridor in their NICU to help families of newborns who started life with health issues, and they could this way prepare for a healthy future. And you all know that it's really a fitting honor for Matilda because of all the work she did when she was the First Lady of New York State. To promote the well-being of children. She's been detained. She won't be able to be with us this morning. I know that she sends her best. So I'm going to ask Bob McMahon, a board member, to please come up to make our first presentation. Bob?
I too missed dearly Matilda being here today. She's such a special person and just so committed to this work. And some of her mentoring books are back there. She's just so warm and so supportive. We've been blessed with her leadership and her life, really. I'm so pleased today to be able to present the 2013 Champion Award to a wonderful advocate and leader, Bishop Howard Hubbard. Bishop Hubbard has been a priest for almost 50 years. 36 of these, he's been bishop of the Diocese of Albany. Bishop Hubbard is the longest tenured bishop of a single diocese in the nation. At his Golden Jubilee celebration of 50 years, held recently at the Filled to Capacity Cathedral of the Immaculate Conception, Bishop Hubbard stated that he'd been a bishop under 3 Albany mayors, 4 cardinal archbishops of New York, 5 popes, 6 presidents, and 6 governors. And I don't know how many Red Sox World Series championships. Over that time, Bishop, you've been known throughout the Capital District and nationally as a wonderful spiritual and civic leader and a strong advocate for the poor. Bishop Hubbard's deep spiritual life informs all that he does. From your early years as a street priest and throughout your dedicated service and leadership as bishop, so many people have hope for a bright future because you have championed them. A recent Times Union article highlighting that Bishop Hubbard's career said, and I quote, "He has never wavered in his commitment to social justice and advocacy." There are so many civic and religious organizations that have benefited from your leadership. To name just a few, they include co-founding Hope House Drug Treatment Program, president of the Urban League of Albany, co-chair of the New York State Labor Religion Coalition, and president of New Yorkers for Alternatives to the Death Penalty, and the list goes on. Low-income expectant and new parents throughout New York State have realized capabilities and dreams that may have otherwise been unrealized. From your time as chaplain of community maternity services, you have supported young parents. You understand the struggles young parents go through and the strength they show to do their best for their children. We know that you are dedicated to ensuring that all children have the opportunity to grow up in a safe and nurturing environment. As chair of the Public Policy Committee of the New York State Catholic Coalition, you were involved with the creation of Maternity and Early Childhood Foundation. Each year since then, you have continued to be a strong advocate for funding of these critical services. The Champion for New York's Children and Families Award recognizes leaders who are key to New York's effort to support low-income parents, to give them and their children the opportunity to be all that they can be. It is an honor for myself and the Board of Directors to present you with the 2013 Maternity and Early Childhood Foundation's Champion for New York's Children and Families Award. Bishop Hubbard, you know that it takes all of us working together to make a better world for our children. Liz, can you join me here? Liz is the president of our board. This year, the award is something special. The board has decided to provide each of the foundation's programs with copies of the children's book, Guess How Much I Love You, with an inscription that says, presented in honor of Bishop Howard J. Hubbard, the 2013 Champion for New York's Children and Families. These books will be shared with parents to read to their children. The book talks about a parent's love for their child and says, I love you, right up to the moon and back, shown in a wonderful story that a parent's love is unending. Thank you so much, Bishop Hubbard, for all of your wonderful work and your inspiration to all of us. We are delighted that you have honored us by allowing us to give you this gift and to recognize you today. Thank you, Bishop Hubbard.
I would just like to read this to you. Before I present this book to Bishop Hubbard, I would just like to read the letter that we have composed to put into the book for him. Dear Bishop Hubbard, the Board of Directors of the Maternity and Early Childhood Foundation is honored to present you with the 2013 Champion for New York's Children and Families Award. This award pays tribute to your extraordinary commitment to services for vulnerable children and families, in particularly low-income, expectant, and new parents. Your strong support of the Maternity and Early Childhood Foundation at and since its inception has enabled us to continue to provide critical services for low-income families all across New York State for 30 years. It is a source of deep pride that thousands of families have been served and over 140 agencies have been funded over the years. The Champion for New York's Children and Families Award recognizes leaders who are central to New York State's progress in supporting young parents and their children. From the time of your ministries as a street priest and throughout your dedicated service and leadership as Bishop of the Diocese of Albany, young people have had hope for a bright future and flourished because you have championed them. You help to guide our goals of healthy babies, children ready to learn, and parents who provide a nurturing environment for their children and reach their personal goals for success. To recognize your leadership, the board has decided to provide each of the Foundation's programs with copies of the children's book, Guess How Much I Love You, with an inscription that says, presented in honor of Bishop Howard J. Hubbard, the 2013 Maternity and Early Childhood Foundation Champion of New York's Children and Families. These books will be shared with parents to read to their children. The book talks about a parent's love and says, I love you right up to the moon and back, showing in a wonderful story that a parent's love is unending. Thank you for your compassionate leadership. Congratulations on a well-deserved award. Sincerely, the Board of Directors. That'll be in every book that's given to every family.
Father Kane, Senator Breslin, Assemblyman McDonald, Assemblyman Fay, Mayor Jennings, dear religious, dear sisters and brothers all, I am truly humbled and honored to receive this award, and I assure you I will treasure it always for 3 reasons. First, because of the admiration I have for the mission of the Maternity and Early Childhood Foundation. Second, because of the dedication and commitment of Elizabeth Walker, Joy Griffin, and all the members of the board and staff. And thirdly, because of the presenter, Bob McMahon, who has had such an outstanding career in human services with Catholic Charities in the Diocese of Brooklyn, and who since returning to the Capital District area is more busy in retirement than he was when he was such a dynamic leader down in the metropolitan New York area. He's helped agencies like Hope House, Community Maternity Services, St. Catherine's, LaSalle, and St. Anne's to develop ways in these very difficult economic times to fulfill their mission. I must say that I was a little worried when I arrived here today. As I pulled into the parking lot, right behind me was Albany's mayor, Jerry Jennings. He got out of his car and he said, "Do you realize how fast you were going?" I was going to put my light on. And I was particularly shaken because on Saturday, I was traveling to Springfield, Massachusetts with Bishop Clark to give a talk to the deacons of the Northeast region, and I did get stopped by a state trooper. And it took about 10 minutes for him to go through all the computer work and so forth. And I got a new car, and I couldn't find my registration. There's like a pocket in the glove compartment that I didn't know existed. Fortunately, Bishop Clark was able to fish it out. And at the end of this ordeal, he came over and he said, "Pray for me and have a nice day." Hey, whatever you get, you take. Reminds me of a story of a Lutheran pastor friend of mine who one day was journeying on the Northway to attend a clergy conference up in the Sagamore, and as the pastor and his wife were driving along, they became engaged in animated conversation, so much so he lost track of how fast he was going, until through the rearview mirror he saw the famous flashing red light. So he pulled out, walked to the side of the road, and out of the state police vehicle got this big burly trooper, Irishman. He walked over to the car, bent over, peered into the window, and caught sight of the collar. "Oh, I'm sorry," the trooper said. "I didn't realize, so I stopped." "Hey, there's state police all over the road today, and they're not all of our kind, you know what I mean?" So he said, "I want you to slow down and keep to the 50-mile-an-hour speed limit. Now drive carefully and be on your way." So he turned his heel and back he went to his state police vehicle. And as the minister was rolling up his window, his wife looked at him with absolute disgust. "You ought to be ashamed of yourself," she said, "sitting there like that, not saying a word. Don't you know who he thinks you are?" And the minister responded, "Of course I know who he thinks I am. I want to know who the hell he thinks you are." I'm sorry that our former First Lady, Matilda Cuomo, couldn't be with us today. She had an earlier honor at the Albany Medical Center, is not feeling well, but we certainly miss her, and she made every effort to be with us today. Certainly as First Lady, and prior to and subsequent to that, she's always had such great concern to enable women and children to fulfill their full potential. And certainly I want to mention the lifetime achievement that she has in providing for the needs of the least among us. As has been noted, for 4 years, between 1973 and 1977, I served as chaplain at Community Maternity Services, which is one of the beneficiaries of the foundation. In that capacity, I would celebrate liturgy every Saturday evening at the dinner table. Afterwards, the Mass vessels would be taken off and we would enjoy dinner together. And then, during the course of the week, I would conduct a group for the residents there at Community Maternity Services. And I was always so very impressed by their courage, by their discernment, by their maturity in coping with a very important decision about whether to place their child for adoption or foster care or whether to assume parenthood. They always made that decision with wonderful advice, counsel, affirmation, and prayerful and careful discernment. Last week I celebrated my 75th birthday, which means that I had to hand my ticket in as the Bishop of the Diocese of Albany, and that story was covered in the newspaper. And I received a letter in the mail which touched me greatly that I'd like to share with you today. It reads as follows. Dear Bishop Hubbard, I read the wonderful article the Times-Union wrote about you and your upcoming retirement. I cannot believe it is that time of your life already. I was in the maternity home with Sister Maureen Joyce in the summer of 1975. You met with us, counseled us, and even took us to the Starlight Theater to see The Fifth Dimension. You helped my late husband, Bruce, so that we could keep our child. You baptized our son, Matthew, and then you married Bruce and I at the grotto of the former Vincentian Institute High School. Bruce and I had a daughter, Matilda, 5 years later, and I saw you at several confirmations for family members over the course of the years. Unfortunately, Bruce was killed in a motorcycle accident in July of 1992, and I was critically injured and was hospitalized for weeks at the Albany Medical Center. I do not remember a lot, but I needed to see you, and you came. And I can remember your voice speaking to me and your shadow. I'm doing well, and I have 2 granddaughters, 4 and 7, whom I watch. I have remarried and found a wonderful man who takes good care of me and loves me, even with my disabilities from the accident. Matthew is now 38, living in North Carolina, a retired Navy CB welder, and happily married. My daughter counsels work release prisoners at the local prison in our area. You touched my family's life with many blessings, as you have done to many other families. You have helped make the peace of God present here on earth. May you have a blessed and healthy new step in your life's journey. May God bless you, and thank you so many times over. Fondly, Wendy. I share this story from of Wendy because it is so typical of the young women who are served by the various agencies funded by the Maternity and Early Childhood Formation. They are given all the support they need to deal with the pain of separation if the child is placed for adoption, or with the with the challenges of parenthood if the child is retained. And they are given wonderful support regardless of which decision that they make. Support that enables them to be able to move forward with the assurance that they have the resources that they need to cope. And so I thank all of you for your presence here this afternoon, for your support of the mission of the Maternity and Early Childhood Foundation, which I know that your presence represents. And I pray that God will continue to shower choicest blessings upon the work and the ministry of the foundation, so that it can continue to enable women to live happy, fruitful, successful, and constructive lives. So thank you for all that you do on behalf of those in need, and God bless you.
Bishop, I love being in your presence. I hate following you at the podium. And you know, something I didn't know, I was thinking when the bishop was being introduced, after all the stories that have been done, is there anything we don't know? Is there something you would want to share? And I'm so happy to know that we share something in common, a lead foot. My get out of jail free card is very different, though, than yours. I have to be much more careful than you. So, take 10 minutes, do a little shopping, buy a ticket, do some schmoozing. And I want to also mention the cards that are on the table. You can please fill them out to make a donation and sign up to receive the foundation's newsletter. And I guess it's 10 minutes till that closes. And a couple of years ago, as I mentioned, I had done the story on community maternity services. And the moms all spoke movingly about their experiences. And what really struck me was not only the program we did the first time that won the award, but then we had done a follow-up. And at that point, the gals were saying, because there was that program is on, what is that, Teen Mother? Is that the name of it? Teen Mom? You know, it's a horrible show. It's like fingernails on a chalkboard, you know, these. And the girls at the program were all saying, it's nothing like that. That's not how life is. And they really wanted to talk about their experience and how difficult it is to be alone and to be a parent. And the staff of CMS said that the teen moms need someone they can trust and encouragement so they can go back to school, go to college, find a job, and probably most important, learn how to be a good parent. I've mentioned her before, one of the moms I still see. She got her GED. She's at Hudson Valley Community College, and she works at the McDonald's in Watervliet. And the best is when I swing by, my bargain delight is to get their dollar coffee. You can't be spending money at the high-ticket places all the time. And now it's become a thing I like to drive through because the odds are I'm going to get to see her and find out how well she's doing and how well her son is doing. Each year, 16,000 babies are born to teen parents in New York State, and the consequences really hurt all of us. Teen moms often drop out of school, as she had to do initially. 1 out of 3 teen moms will not finish high school. They won't be as lucky, as fortunate as she was to get the support so she could complete and get a GED. Their babies are more likely to suffer health problems. They are more likely to live in poverty. Their children then are more likely to live in poverty and be unemployed and become teen parents themselves. And you all know what happened this week with the drop in SNAP funding. How much more difficult that has become for them. So I'd like you to meet a couple of special parents who beat the odds. They've got strength within themselves, and they were fortunate to be served by agencies funded by Maternity and Early Childhood Foundation. So I'm going to ask Bernadette Willis, who's now on the board, a former participant, to come on down. She's involved with Mama's House on Long Island. Also, Danny Coolidge and Scott Madden and their children, Anastasia and Winry. They're with the CMS serving Schoharie and Otsego County, and their case manager is Lisa Carl. You here? Come on. Come on. It's all good. You're among friends. This is a good bunch. Yeah, I know. Lunch being served, and I'm calling you away. Just like a dentist, right? Your mouth is all full with all that stuff, and they go, so, what do you think about the Giants? Yeah. So I'm going to pull this off, and I want to just ask you guys a couple of questions. And first, hi, let's give them a round of applause. Share with our audience the most challenging thing about being a parent.
I find the most challenging thing about being a parent, especially between a newborn and a 15-month-old, is just time management. Between, giving the newborn constant attention and the toddler who thinks she needs the constant attention. And then on top of that, trying to figure out when are you going to clean? When are you going to cook? When are you going to pretty much do anything outside of help the babies? That's what I think is the biggest problem.
Basically, for me, most difficult part of being a parent would be what they call witching hours, where the kids can cry for no reason. She's usually taking a shower or something when that happens. So for me, it's just trying to deal with that, trying to keep them both calm and under control.
My daughter's now 21, but at the time, the challenge for me was teaching when I haven't been taught, and that's one of the things at Mama's House. I had a lot of support, a lot of women in the staff teaching me how to be a mom and teaching me how to care. I said, well, my mom really wasn't there, but I was taught how to teach.
And I was going to ask, the next question was, how has the program helped you? Well, clearly, that's an answer. And I don't know, is there anything you want to add to that, how the program's helped you?
The programs really helped me in 2 separate ways. The first off is they give a lot of good physical support. I mean, there'll be weeks where he's working, but his hours are so low, we don't know how we're going to afford diapers or socks or shoes. And we know if there's ever a problem, we can call them up and say, is there any way we can get some diapers or anything to help us out? And not only that, but it's a lot of mental support too. If you have a question, like, is this normal, or how do I deal with that? I know I can ask them that, and within the next week, I'll get an answer.
Well, let's see. What was the question again? Okay. Well, basically, for being a man, well, I do have a wife, but I know for anybody that's a single father, it could be just as helpful for them. They offer the support with not only with the diapers and with the anything that you are looking for, and with the if you're questioned about something, they will have the answers for you. But they also help you feel like you're something, because if you're not making, you don't have enough money, you can't do anything, can't provide for your children, you feel like you're just letting everybody down. They bring you up, they can give you what you need to help you along and make you feel like you're something instead of nothing.
Bernadette, I'm just wondering, you had the opportunity to get the support. Did you have friends who were in a similar situation as you, single moms, and they didn't, and the difference for you versus them?
At the time I didn't, but that's what made Mama's House come right on time, because I found myself, I'm 17 and I'm pregnant, and a lot of the friends that I had and I was getting close to, their moms was like, well, you can't hang out with her anymore. And but back then it was different, but I'm glad I got the support. So definitely.
And now look what you're doing, how much you're giving back. And before we let you go, what are the dreams you have for your family now?
I think I pretty much just have the American dream. I want to have a house to call my own. I want to have a good car, decent income. And like my ultimate dream would be own my own business one day, either a restaurant or a catering company or events planning, something along those lines.
Yeah, well, we kind of, since we're husband and wife, we kind of share about the same dreams right now. For me, I want to provide, I want to have my children have stuff that I couldn't have, let them do everything that they should be able to do, and basically give them the home and the transportation and everything that they need, the education to go with it.
Just basically, I tell them a lot of times they don't understand the staff and some of the direction and advice that I give when I said, believe me, later you're going to remember and it's going to come back to you, the wisdom that they're giving you. And it's all out of genuine concern for you and your family.
Thank you very much. Congrats to the work that you do, Bernadette. We thank you. All the best to you. Great health and happiness too. And the little ones like humble news. Oh my word. Yeah. Thank you. Enjoy your lunch. Thank you very much. Now, oh, you're going to stay for a second. That's not in my script, so you know. I do as I'm told. I'm a firstborn, you know, I follow directions. I'm going to call, oh, that's right. Now I'd like to ask Elizabeth Walker, the president of the board of directors of the foundation, to please come back up.
Thank you, Benita, and thank you, Bob, for coming to our third luncheon to present the award to Bishop Hubbard. And to thank you to Bishop Hubbard for accepting the 2013 award. We are so happy to recognize Bishop Hubbard for your long-standing support and advocacy on behalf of the foundation. And probably as important as the families we serve, because that's why we're all here. One of the foundation's former board members was Sister Constance Casey. You have known Sister Connie. You may have known Sister Connie. For many years, she was president and CEO of the Academy of Holy Names and a dedicated educator for her entire career. While sadly Sister Connie has passed away, her legacy lives on. Her life was dedicated to improving the lives of young women. She made a lasting impact on so many. She was a strong supporter of the work of the Maternity and Early Childhood Foundation, and in fact, she was the inspiration for this luncheon. She believed that everyone has a special gift, and she knew the importance of supporting young people as they find their special gifts. So to recognize your bravery and self-confidence in speaking to us today, We want to recognize you young parents with the Maternity and Early Childhood Foundation's Sister Constant Casey Certificate of Achievement. Scott, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes, I have the right one. Danny? Just love babies. I worked in maternity for 40 years before I retired, so I still, to this day, every time I see a healthy, wonderful newborn that has been given to families that love them and will care for them for their entire lives, it's just such a joy. Last but not least, it's especially rewarding for us on the foundation to give this to one of our fellow board members, Bernadette Willis. We had a board meeting yesterday. I'm going to tell this story. We had the board meeting yesterday, and Bernadette is new on our board, and some of us have been on the board for more years than we care to remember. So she was so quiet throughout the board meeting, so we took a break, and I said to her, "You haven't said a word. You know, are we really scaring you? Are we, are you intimidated by all of us who just keep talking and talking and talking?" And so she just whispered to me now. What I said to her is, please feel free to share your ideas, because it's only through the ideas of someone who's new and young and vital and has been through the process of a teen pregnancy that we as a board can grow. And so she just whispered to me. She promised she would be more vocal at our next meeting. Thank you again to all of you for sharing your story, and we wish you and your children all the best in the world. We have some gifts. Thank you. Go down this way. It's easier than climbing up there.
I was wondering if, Bishop Hubbard, I was wondering if you would come up one more time, just for a minute. I don't know if you knew this, but Sienna Research just did a secret poll, and they asked everybody what they thought Bishop Hubbard should do in his retirement, how he should spend his retirement. And the unofficial results are in with a 3% margin of error that say that he should spend more time enjoying sports that he really likes. He really likes Siena basketball. He really likes the Boston Red Sox. So when they heard this, you'll find it here. The Siena basketball team signed a basketball for Bishop Hubbard. And Big Poppy, is that his name? He said he couldn't. He was really sorry he couldn't come because he's renegotiating his contract. But anyway. He thanks Bishop Hubbard so much for his ardent and loyal support, and the team would like him to have this Boston Red Sox hat and a T-shirt that says, "The best ball players are in Beantown."
I'm going to be the best dressed man of the Cape this summer. Thank you so much.
The best to all of you. A very happy and healthy holiday season. Take care, and we'll see you next year in those storms, okay? And Bishop, the best.